Yeah,
Whatever you want. You can move wherever you want. Right, there's probably who we're having if they haven't showed up by now. A little annoying. 340 agents and 5 people. But it's because we have people online also. So, okay, real quick, y'all, everybody should know Brooks. Maybe I think everybody, because Jackie even had Brooks talk at the college when I was doing a class. Just a little bit about what we got going on. I've changed up things a little. So my Wednesday nights, we're doing Zoom only. It's recorded unless it's the second Wednesday, which will be our happy hour. And I'm just trying to draw more people in for that Wednesday because I'm showing up on Wednesdays and Lola drives from Irving and Lindsay shows up and, you know, a few others, but it's like 3 people when I could just do it from Zoom. And when I did it from Zoom on Wednesday, it actually flowed better and I think it was longer. So people are getting more benefit out of it. So I'll continue to do that unless I get feedback that y'all are thinking about leaving because you want to see my face or something on Wednesday night. So I do the Monday motivation, Tuesday tip, Wednesday win, Tuesday, Thursdays. I've had good turnout on my 11:30 to noon. And I've decided to do every week, buyer tenant on a Tuesday, seller landlord on a Thursday and alternate them, but you'll always get those 4 people that only 4 you can work with every week. I continue to do my one-on-ones. It's just nobody's signing up for them, but I'll continue to have them open. And I really just think that you can text me and say, hey, I'd like to do a one-on-one. Because I had 4 straight days of sign up genius and 3 people signed up. And I don't care. It's just that it's, 1 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I had 3 people. So I'd rather you just text me and that way I don't have to, send out the sign up genius. So I'll probably say that Saturday, tomorrow, when I set up my email for the next week's training. We'll always do the Wednesday night. And of course, the second Wednesday will be happy hour. But from now on, the Wednesdays will be Zoom and it'll be recorded. And I'm now sending it on GroupMe and also to every agent's email. And Lola has revamped my YouTube. So she's posting those trainings on there. And then Fridays at noon. So just so you know, Lola and I were at Career Fair on Friday at Champions from 10 to 2. And I had said that I would do a donation of $10 from our firm for everybody that signed in. We had 4,700 people, 4,700, that would bankrupt the company. We had 47 people sign in. But yesterday I donated $4,700 to, I was going to do the Cho family, but when I went to their approved GoFund, they had stopped donations because they've already raised $1.8 million. And so they said they would rather have that redirected to the victims relief, which goes to all the family. So that was paid for yesterday or the day before. The kind of the receipt was posted on social media just to show people that I did back it up instead of just saying it. And then people are like, I never saw Doug actually make that donation. So that came out of my funds. It came out of Brooks' funds that he pays for our firm through the title and the sponsors. But basically it was representative of you guys. And I knew that y'all would want that in place. So we had 47 people. But today Brooks is going to talk about, he's always got great ideas on how we can better our business instead of just coming here and talking about rates and, and I really appreciate that. And we have a bigger tie now. His wife got a Bronco like mine. So now we're on the Bronco family, but most of y'all know Brooks. I met him 8 years ago and at a golf tournament and we've forged a friendship and we don't go out to dinner and do stuff family wise. But it's a professional relationship and I'd rather have that than a friendship where I feel kind of, obligated to do business with them because of a friendship. Even though we do have a friendship, it's predicated on my word and his word and we've really stuck together and I really respect that. So floor is yours.
Thank
and
you.
That's Samir and I don't know who else we have.
Hey, Samir, how's it going?
That's it. Okay. So,
All right.
all right, Brooks.
Well, you get the big screen then, Samir. How's it going? Thanks, Doug. Big group today. So you guys get all the personal training you want today. So I do want to, for those that know Alan Badger, our friendly Goosehead insurance agent, his wife is having a baby today. So Alan's going to be a father at 43 years old for the first time. So yeah, so we don't know if it's a boy or girl yet, but we'll know here pretty soon. So yeah, excited for him. My phone is blowing up with the family text chain. So Alan's my brother-in-law, just for all full disclosure, but he's an awesome insurance agent too. So I want to say something first with Doug. Like if you guys are not using his one-on-one, you're missing out big time. there's not many brokers in the Metroplex or in America that are willing to give you that much of their time and 30 years of experience. And I would use that, and I would abuse it really. If he's got all these times open, he's willing to give to you guys, like, I mean, ideas, marketing, training, whatever it is, like, to have a resource like that is priceless, and you guys don't pay much for it. So I would absolutely utilize his time for you. So what I'm going to talk about today is what I always talk about, really, is lead generation, tactics, training, systems, process, and it's just a little bit different spin on it today. I've been part of a coaching and training program for 9 years now. And it's not rocket science on what it is, but it's all it is talking about how to generate leads, how to track your leads, how to be mindful and follow up with those, and where to get them from. So I've got some forms. I've got them all in an email. I can send them all to you. Everybody that's here. It looks like we have some more folks online now. But the first one we're going to talk about is the greatness tracker. This is the GPS, the foundation of your real estate business. I have a lender version of this that I use on a daily basis. It's printed. It sits on my desk every single day. I know it's a little bit hard to see here. Let me see if I can make this better for you guys. You see that better? Samir, you see that all right? Okay. All right. I'll send it to you guys here. So the greatness tracker, all it is tracking your greatness, right? Your work on a daily basis. And really, as it shows, the middle section is the most important piece of this greatness tracker. And that's having great phone calls with, on the left, it tells you everything you need: leads, referral partners, past clients, and current clients. And those are phone calls that you talk about real estate and you ask for referrals. And from those great conversations, you're trying to have as many as possible every single week. The goal is to have 70 every single week. How many people in here talk to 70 people about real estate every week? So I do, because I'm mindful of it, right? So getting into the real estate or mortgage business is, it's a self-propelled industry, right? Like, so it's only as much as you actually do and are willing to put in order to get it out of this business, right? But in order to call that many people on a weekly basis, you have to have an idea of what you're going to do before you go into it. So while it gives you those people on the far left-hand side down below, it gives you what your theme days are. And Mondays, you call your VIPs, your Tuesday updates, your hot and cold leads, your 30 past clients, and then your builders, right? Like Doug said, there's only 4 kinds of people that you can work with, right? Well, there's anybody and everybody falls into that category, right? Everybody should be buying real estate, whether it's for a primary, secondary, or investment home. And they are either buyers or sellers or renters or landlords. So you have this list of people to follow up with and touch base with. The main topic or the main target are these VIPs. And I've done this class on multiple occasions, but I really want to talk about this in detail, because real estate is 100% a relationship business, right? If I can ever get to this thinking thing, there we go. Right? It's a relationship business, and it's building relationships with the people that you know, like, and trust. And I've talked about this. You guys have seen this flyer before, but building this list is absolutely necessary for everybody in this business. And why is that? Anybody know why you need this list?
Well, I mean, it's a numbers game, and who better to start off with people that you already know and they know your character and trust.
Right, exactly. That they trust you, that they're willing to refer you, even though most of you are new real estate agents, they still know you and they know your character. And so they're willing to refer you in some way. But you have to build this list out, right? It's a lot of people that you know, but then you have to go to the people that you know and have them introduce you to people that also need to be on this list. And as I go through mine and I build it over time, it's people, past clients that own businesses, It's people that work in the HR industry or just connectors in general. And so the affinity program that we put together to go with this is something that I preach and talk about because it expands your database significantly. So with the affinity program, it promises some things to your clients or potential clients that we already have. It's not anything you have to go out and buy. It's things that you have as a real estate agent, or I have as a lender, like home search tools or mortgage calculators or anything that goes with that. But it puts it succinctly together and it partners with the business owner in order to, sorry, I'm distracted. It partners with the business owner to introduce you to their people, right? It puts you together in a room with all the employees at Montgomery HVAC or, and so you go to the business owner in order to serve their employees on their behalf. So you can build out this VIP list from that deal. Now, what do you do with your leads after you get them? Dave, how do you track your leads after you get them?
Well, I mean, I don't really do like a CRM. I just made my Outlook account into a CRM,
Okay.
like that works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like just tons of folders and literally like when I'm calling my database, I open up my email and I send myself emails each time I make a phone call and I put notes in there about whether I left a voicemail, video message, text. If I talked to him, what we talked about, what I said on my message, if I left a message,
Mm-hmm.
and then I send it to myself and I drop it in that folder. So I can go into any client's folder at any point in time and see when was the last time I connected with them, what was said or what wasn't said, and that's how I keep up with everything. Like, so every single client that I have has their own folder.
Yeah. So everybody, you have a process, right?
I do.
You have a
Yeah.
process, right? So this is an easy process here. This is something that I've used for a long time and I color code it, but it's keeping track of these leads because real estate leads that you get, whether they're referred or they're from a lead system, are not always going to buy in the next 30 days, right?
That's
Like I have a closing this week from a client from 2021 that we started following up with since then. So it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 6 years. I've closed some that are 5 or 6 years out from the first time we talked to them. And so having a repeatable system to keep you in touch with these people, that's why they say it takes 2 years to be proficient in this business, is because it takes that long for your database to incubate itself over time, right? Like you're going to get leads today and tomorrow and the next day, but it may not be people that are willing to close today, tomorrow, or the next day. So using the lead tracker is something that's very beneficial for your business. And keeping track of those leads. I used to keep track of them on sticky notes, and those fall behind your desk. They get lost, they get thrown away, the cleaner takes them from your desk or whatever, and then they disappear, and so does that commission along with it. So sticky notes is not a good way to do it. I like CRMs a lot. I like this sheet because you see at the bottom, it's got months on the bottom. It's got January, February, March, and you can keep track of it. The reason that I like to keep track of my leads is, one, for commissions, but two, is I can see what my future looks like based on my current leads. So I have a goal every month of how many leads that I want to hit. And if I don't hit that number, then I know at my conversion ratio, I'm not going to get to the number of closings that I want. So you have to understand those numbers over time of what you're practically going to close. But typically you close a referred lead at about 25%. So if you want one closing a month, you need at least 4 referred leads every single month in order to close one transaction. So if you want 2 or 3 or 4, you just multiply those numbers out. Notice I said referred leads because referred leads close much quicker than and better than internet leads do. They close at about 1 in 20. So if you're gonna get leads from the internet, Facebook or Zillow or whatever, then you're looking at a 5% conversion ratio versus a 25% conversion ratio. So I prefer to work this VIP list that I showed you because it doesn't cost nearly as much money. It's not nearly as much work. and they close a lot better, right? Like, who would rather work with 4 people to close one than 20 people to close one? Right? So who would rather spend, I mean, what does it cost to get 20 Zillow leads? Anyway, Dave, you buy Zillow, how many?
20 Zillow leads, probably
Yeah.
gonna cost you over $5,000.
$5,000 to get 20, so to close one, and do they close at about that 1 in 20?
I closed more than that, but
What's your closing ratio? The
um,
master Zillow closer right
I
here,
probably closed about a quarter of them.
25%?
Laura Stoner at Zillow told me it's the highest conversion rate she's ever seen.
Yeah, it's way beyond, that's, I mean, Dave should be teaching this class, not me, because that is not, that's unheard of. Typically, internet leads actually close less than 5%. So Zillow is a good source, but it's, as you heard, very expensive. So say it closes at even in 1 in 5, right? 20%. So you get 5 leads, it costs you $1,000 to get 5 leads, $1,200. You could get 12 or 5 leads from this process alone. It's harder work, right? It's not entering your credit card information and hoping for some leads to come through, right? It's actual hard work that you have to follow up with these people. But to get 5 referred leads out of this system, it might cost you $200, right? Seeing people, touching base, having coffee, making phone calls, sending thank you notes. It's a simple process. It's just work, right? And a lot of us, didn't realize that the real estate business would be so much work. But it is, right?
I love the people that think we're all just sitting on our couch.
Well, yeah, I mean, they watch $1 Million Listing and you sell, $10 million homes and make $300,000 doing it, right? How this business works, right? So, yeah, they don't know about home inspections and, negotiations with sellers and showing 100 houses and making 10 offers and all those things, right? But I over and over and over again, this is the real estate business right here. It's a 1-page sheet. If you literally follow this from top to bottom, you will be successful. You will get 50 referred leads a year. You'll close 25% of those leads. You'll close 1 deal every single month from this list.
I was smart. I was actually had that pinned to my refrigerator, and I'm working that now. But it's funny, the business I came from. I even called some of my old managers, like, if we get rid of these certain people in our phones, how many will we have? So, yeah, that's a work in progress for me.
Yeah, it's combing through your phone list, your Facebook list, whatever it is, and finding who these 50 people are. And then it'll change, right? You'll think one person is a referrer and they're not, this guy likes me and they don't, like you'll find the connectors that are in there. But it's really not that hard of work. This literally takes you about 3 hours a week to work this list, right? Who wants to work 3 hours a week to get 5 leads a month, right? To close 1. I mean, it's the right system. This is real estate in a box right here. This is how the business works. I talked the last time I was talking about, planting tomatoes and apples, right? These are the apples right here. But if you work this well enough and fast enough, it's not 3 years out before this comes to fruition. It's 90 to 120 days before it does. I've taught dozens of, maybe hundreds of people this system, and it's changed their business to where they don't spend so much money on a monthly basis, because the Zillow thing yes, it does work. And those people are future apples for you, because they're going to sell, they're going to refer if you do a great job. And there are people, if you're not connected or know people in town, like that's a great way to get people, but you got to be willing to make that investment too up front. Questions? I had another sheet up here.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you're going through your list, would you suggest calling them straight up first or text?
Call them.
Okay.
I mean, if they're VIPs to you, like, you're not going to build a relationship through text message, like.
Right.
So, I mean, it's this simple, right? Here's your VIP list. It's knowing these things about them, right? When's their birthday, their spouse's name, their anniversary, their kids' names. I mean, how impactful would it be to send a birthday card to their 5-year-old and put a $5 bill in it, like the impact that would have over anything else, really. would be significant. You know, if you're really truly in relationship with them, it'd be kind of creepy if you're not, but you know, if you're actually in relationship, like if I sent Doug's kids a birthday card, like, I don't think it'd be that creepy, but like, you know, barely, I know Maggie a little bit, but if I sent it to her kids, she'd be like, I don't know, Brooks, like, that's kind of weird, man. So, you know, and, you know, anniversaries, you can hit that, you know, text messages, memes, like I sent a lot of memes for birthdays. It makes them laugh. It's different than whatever, but the personal phone call, you know, sing happy birthday to them on the phone. Just being mindful of and building that relationship and doing it genuinely and not just for the leads that come from it, right? Like you can provide value to so many of these people, you know, like they're business owners and they need stuff as well. Like, how can I help you? And that's a great way to intro into these phone calls is you guys are connectors, right? Like now that you've got your real estate license, your phone rings off the hook with people, right? Movers, landscapers, ADT people, lenders, all this list, right? And so for you guys to have a genuine list to refer people to, like, how can I help you today? You know, it's springtime. Do you need a new landscaper? Is your sprinkler system broken? Do you need new painting? I have a great painter. Let me hook you up with that. Oh, my sink broke. I got a great plumber. You know, like those are things that you can provide value, assuming that you vetted that list and actually, you know, grew it. But you have to be willing to put yourself out there to refer people. And when you do that, you're actually helping Dave out because Dave's sink broke and he doesn't know a good plumber. Or the one he called is 3 weeks out and now he can't use his kitchen sink. So helping people through that is a great way to connect. Is how can I help you? You know, who can I introduce you to that would help your business? You know, hey, I'm trying to grow my HVAC business into Plano. We've been in Wiley this whole time and, you know, we'd like to get into Plano. Awesome. You know, I can refer you. I've got 300 agents in Plano. Would you like to come speak at an event? Would you like to sponsor a lunch for us? Would you like to, you know, X, Y, or Z, right? It's being helpful in those conversations. It's not calling with your hand out. And then, you know, understanding who they are and their hobbies. You know, if they're a golfer, right? You wouldn't send them a bucket of tennis balls, right? For their birthday, you'd send them a sleeve of Pro V1s, right? And only golfers know what that is, right? But
Card to the PGA store.
yeah. I mean, I would say more mindful gifts than a gift card because you want to know who they are, right? Like as I'm a big golfer, right? You send me a, you know, one of those like a golf towel or something like that. Like I'm gonna, okay, cool. You know, like it's not, but knowing me, right? Like if you knew who I was and explored who I was or played golf with me, you'd know what kind of golf balls I played with and you'd send me some actual golf balls that I know, right? Like I sent Doug some tennis balls for his birthday and I didn't send him the junky, like, you know, $1 tennis balls. I sent him Penn Pro because Doug's a great tennis player, right? So it's knowing who your audience is so you can help make an impact like that. So, and then bringing them all together because happy hours are a great event to have your VIPs at, right? Because that way they can connect with each other. So I'm not talking about some extravagant happy hour. You find a place that has cheap beer or wine or something from 4 to 6, and you bring 4 or 5 or 6 people together that are in different industries and you introduce them to each other. They're always, you know, business owners want to network with each other. So it's not bringing them there to bring you a lead. It's bringing them there to bring value to them. So you buy everybody a beer or two, you order an appetizer, you bring them together. You talk about what each other does, you introduce them, and then you just kind of let them do their thing. And then all of a sudden now your VIPs are connected and they finish that triangle of trust that comes together from having you and them together, right? How do you know Dave, right? Well, Dave is my this, he's my realtor, he's my this. And then now all of a sudden you guys are connected in that triangle of trust. So. Question?
I'll say that like, the cupcakes I brought up, I had 3 of them. There's only 2 here. When I picked them up, I took a box by Collin County Association of Realtors and just gave it to them. And I was like, I don't need anything, just wanted y'all to know, I appreciate all y'all do for our agents. So that's something that they always text me later and say, oh my God, I see usually tip treats once a month or cupcakes. And I'm not doing it for me, I'm doing it for y'all, because when you get licensed and you need to get your board dues paid, I tell you to call who?
Jan Flynn.
Jan Flynn. And we have a history. I wrecked in her car like 20 years ago, friends, and she works up there, and so she takes good care of y'all. And so, man, I know they like him. So it's small stuff like that. I mean, Brooks is great about it, and that's why he's real successful as a lender.
It's small stuff like that, but like, if they have an agent that's looking to move, and who do they call, right? Who do they say to call? Doug, right? So it's being mindful to the people that you like and that like you back. So it's a big push for us. And I think it's something that, I mean, obviously I teach on it almost every time I'm here, because I believe in it so much for you guys, and this is how you build your business. It's doing this program, and then it's also utilizing the abilities that Doug has and the time that he's going to give you. Like, there's no better mentor out there. So. Questions about this? Anybody online have any questions? Is there a chat? Yeah, I've got it all in an email I can send you guys. There is a chat here. Let's see if it's anything.
Yes, please do, because it's
The lead tracker is a spreadsheet. So,
I've been doing it in a spiral so far.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the structure of any business, right? You don't go into your job at, where do you work? Ecolab, right? Is that where you work also? Yeah, you don't go in there and just be like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do today. Like, you know exactly what you have to do when you go into work. It's the same thing as a real estate. You have to build that structure around yourself, because nobody's going to do that for you, right? So that's why we try to help you with these tools. And like I said, I've been in this core training for 9 years. Like I was just at the summit last week. Guess what we talked about? All of these same forms for the last 9 years, because that is the business. It's face-to-face, personal, belly-to-belly relationships, and seeing people, having, conversations, lunches, whatever it is, and building that up. So, you guys want to know anything else? Market conditions, anything like that?
Great.
yes.
Yeah. So, I just sent a video out. Hopefully everybody here's on my video list. But the market, my prediction was rates were going to go down starting last week, and the government continues to.
Turn that to where you can see.
Yeah, the government continues to say things and do things that are counterintuitive to what we all thought was going to happen. Let me pull up the rate charts for you so you can see it. Hopefully you guys can see this online. But the CPI index went down, and that's really, interest rates are based on inflation. They're not based on what the Federal Reserve funds rate is, really. It does kind of follow that because everything else goes along with it. So the federal funds rate goes up and interest rates go up, because when that federal funds rate's going up, so is inflation, right? That's why they're raising that rate, is to stifle purchases. So I just bought a new Bronco, right? And the best rate you can get on a car right now is like 6.5%. Versus, it was 1%, 2%, 3%, 0%. There's some dealers doing that, but all that's just baked into the price of the car. Let me pull this over here. So it's making everything more expensive, which is, slowing the economy essentially, and hopefully bringing rates down to go a little bit. Well, they manipulated some of the data from last year right before they put the CPI index out last week. And you saw interest rates go up Monday and Tuesday pre-Fed announcement, which is here. And then, so we thought this was going to go up, which makes rates go down. Well, when they manipulated this data, rates went up. This is counterintuitive, but rates went up. And then every day after it, they just keep stepping in the turd over and over again. Like, they just keep saying things that are pushing the market to higher rates. So this is what we've seen over the last week. So I do think that it's going to turn a corner at some point if they stop saying the things that they're going to say. The reason that they keep saying it is because they're just not feeling the same slowdown in consumer activity that they thought they would with rates this high. So rates will follow inflation. Inflation's starting to go down. If they were truly reporting the accurate numbers, you would start to see this go this other way. So every month around the 10th, the CPI index comes out. And I do believe every month as it comes out, you'll start to see inflation come down, and you'll start to see rates come down slowly over time. It's not going to be something that's overnight. Nor do we want it to be really, because who has problems getting buyers into houses right now? Anybody? We have a lot of buyers still looking right now. So if rates went down too much, it pushes everybody back into the market. There's about 5 million people sitting on the sidelines right now, waiting for rates to come down to the mid fives. And there's only 600,000 houses on the market in the United States of America. There should be 3 to 4 million on the market at any given time. There's about 600,000 right now, and 5 million people waiting to buy those houses, right? So we have a big supply and demand issue at the moment. I do say we're very fortunate to live in Dallas. I think our market is much better than any other market in the country except for parts of Florida. We're seeing a lot more home sales here. California is unaffordable. The coasts are all unaffordable. So you see, like through the Rust Belt, you see a lot of sales through, Illinois, and more than other states, not a lot, because the constraint of inventory and because of the affordability issue. So while we're seeing good activity here, it's very actually in this area, and it shows you that real estate is very hyper local. When you look at that, because the price of homes here, the amount of land, the amount of builders we have building, but we just have a ton of people moving to the Metroplex every single day. And so it's just that inventory number is not getting better. And the only thing that's going to make it better is going to be a squeeze that's going to happen as rates come back down. There's going to be a lot more buyers that come into the market for a lot less houses are willing to sell. So the rates have to be low enough to where they feel like they can move
I was on mute.
Oh, well, you
All right.
missed all that.
You're good. You didn't miss anything. Brooke's about to go over VA, so you're good. So real quick, Dustin Ray. Telling me how a VA offer was kicking his butt, and I was like, it's really not any different than a 1 to 4. I was like, the down payment will be 0. And I said in paragraph 12, you need to find out if the lender wants you to put an amount in there. So can you kind of cover that just briefly, like when you find out somebody's a veteran, what you need to ask them, how quick they need to get you in to them,
Mhm.
and hypothetical closing date stays out, and then the real important paragraph 12B, where you have the $sign and.
Yeah. Yeah, so VA, I don't know
You
what's
don't have to
happening
worry
here,
about
but VA is no different than any other loan, like Doug said. You don't have to worry about adding the VA funding fee to your loan amount or anything like that. If you're gonna offer, say list price is $325, it's 0 down, it's a loan for $325, total amounts $325, like straight there. You go to your third-party financing addendum, you check VA, you give however many days you're gonna give for approval. Usually give. And then you put in the interest rate that the lender gave you. So, and then on 12B, which is your seller paid closing costs, the maximum that VA will allow is not necessarily in stone in writing. It's approximately 4%. If you want to stay within and not have any troubles with the underwriter, you always try to keep it below 4%. You can actually kind of go over and above that if it's normal and customary to the market to pay more than that. And that's kind of hard to prove, but we've done many, especially in lower priced homes where you can get more than 4% of sales price. Follow that as just kind of a normal guideline for VA. With VA appraisals are different only because they're ordered through the VA and they're not through our normal course of action, which is through our managed appraisal management companies. VA appraisals are ordered through the VA loan portal. They're VA appraisers. It's actually truly a better process in that, because if they have an issue with the value, the appraiser is going to contact the lender first before they turn the appraisal in. So when you order a normal appraisal, it comes in, if the value's short, they're telling you, appraised at 308 and your purchase price is 315. And then you can always go back and rebut it with any information. The way the VA comes in, it's called Tidewater, and they invoke Tidewater, which is part of the VA, laws, 203 laws that they have. And Tidewater says, hey, we're having trouble finding the value that you have on this contract. Can you give us the information that you used in order to get to this number? And that way you can try to plead your case before the judge makes a decision. So I like it better that way. I think it works better. We get there 9 out of 10 times on Tidewater, versus when you go the conventional or FHA route, it's trying to change the judge's mind after he's made a decision. And we win probably 20% of the time when we go back with that information. So I like that part of that process. You can't really manage the VA appraisals very well as far as like a timing perspective goes. You order it and then they have 10 business days to get it back to you. There's no accountability to them. If it's 12, just 12 days. We get some back in 2, we get some back in 10, and everywhere in between. They tend to not go past the 10 days very often unless they're super busy. So we try to get the VA appraisal ordered as soon as possible. So it's always beneficial to get your home inspection done right away and any negotiations out of the way so we can get that ordered. And one thing that's always required on VA is a termite inspection. You always need a termite, and it's got to be a clear termite. So if there's evidence of termites, then you have to get that remedied and then a new clear termite inspection done. They cost about $100 or so, and it's in addition to your home inspection. Not every home inspector does it, but most of them do, or they have someone that they'll farm that piece of it out to. So always get the termite up front, give that to the lender. It's always required for underwriting. But VA is the best loan program in the market, in my opinion. It's only for veterans that have served, a certain amount of time and met those guidelines, and they use it. And it's a big deal to the veteran. It's the loan that defaults the least out of any, and it's a 0 down program because the veteran's very proud to have that and they don't want to lose that privilege. But from a lender's standpoint, it's the easiest loan to underwrite. The conditions can be met much easier than many other loans can be. And it's just a great program in general. The rates are better. There's no monthly mortgage insurance. Like it's just a solid loan program across the board. So. Question?
I thought there is insurance on a VA.
No, so the VA has funding fees up front. So like FHA has an upfront funding fee and monthly mortgage insurance. VA loans only have the upfront funding fee and it gets rolled into the loan. So it's not anything that they pay at closing. It just gets added into it. And it's anywhere from 2 to 3.5%, depending on how many times they've used it in the past. But if they have a 10% delay, then it gets waived completely. So they don't pay it at all. So you'd be surprised. I would say that at least 50% of the VA applications we get, they have at least 10% disability, maybe even higher. And so that helps, many of them not pay that fee. So question.
Question. As far as the different programs that help with down payments, things like that, different cities, counties, is that something that the agent should be versed in, or the lender would, I guess, point those things out when we have that client sitting in front of you?
Yeah, so
we can get them this Charles, and we can get them that.
it's always something to bring up. You might qualify for down payment assistance, if that's something they need. So down payment assistance, typically in most cases is an offset to the interest rate. So like the way that like the state of Texas, we have a couple programs through the state of Texas that gives anywhere up to from 2 to 5% towards the down payment and closing costs. But the higher the assistance goes, the higher the interest rate is. I call it legal money laundering. So basically they take the higher rate and they give the overage in the rate back to the buyer in the form of a second lien. The state ones get forgiven over a 3-year period. So if they live there for 3 years, that second lien disappears and they don't owe money back. We have another one we just got. It's just a second lien that's behind it. We call it FHA 100% financing because it's a second lien behind the 96.5% lien, and that's given to them for their down payment. In that program, there's no income limits. In all the other state assisted down payment programs, there's always an income limit, either based on who's on the loan or who lives in the house, depending on the program. But those numbers have gone up a lot in prior years, to where it's not really a problem in most cases. But the one that we have internally, there is no income limit. It's just rates have got to come a little bit down for that program to be viable again.
So whatever the program may be in a different one, it's good for that agent maybe to find out about something and present to their client before they necessarily get to you, or in that
I wouldn't
process.
Well, if you need to present it to them, yeah.
Well, I had
you
one
need to
ask.
know what's that.
I had one asked about.
Yeah.
There's some down payment, this, that, the other, and I've seen maybe Plano, I saw something about 50,000 if you move in Plano. Those different kind of things, but would that be
This-
info?
Yeah. So like the city ones, the ones that are like city specific, like Dallas Map Fund, Plano, McKinney has one. Like those operate off a completely different income scale, which is far less than the state ones do, but they provide a lot more money. Those are typically very difficult to get, just because of the income limit. And like buying a house in Plano costs what, $350 minimum. And so like if you're under 80% of the area median income, can you really afford a $350,000 home? Probably not. So it's like you got to be careful what you say to the borrower so you don't get them all excited about this $50,000 grant that they can't qualify for. So I always tell them when we take the loan application, like it's our job to present all the options to you, educate you about each one, and then figure out which one makes the most sense for you. Typically, the down payment assistance program only makes sense if they don't have the money themselves to put down, because the rate's that much higher and it makes their monthly payment higher. I always equate it to them and I show them, look, here's the difference. You can get this $9,000, but your payment's $220 more per month. Which one do you want? You have the $20,000 to put down on this house, or you can get this free money and only put $10,000 down and go this direction. So we always educate them from that standpoint. We never want them to come back and be like, hey, well, you didn't tell me about this. So we have those options. I would just be careful. Like I would know about them for sure. So I would educate yourself on them. But I would be, because you just don't know where they're gonna qualify, like credit score might be a factor, income might be a factor, whatever it is. So,
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, cause I've had a couple of, customers ask me, talking about the down payment and they can't afford that much down payment.
mhm.
And I would bring up, there's down payment assistance, first time home buyers. And then they try to ask me, well, what do I qualify for? Well, that's, you have to talk to the lender
Yeah.
about what you qualify for. I never give them a dollar figure. I don't get to talk about, what you guys, that's your
Yeah.
tennis court right there. I stay on my ball field. So
Yeah.
two different ball fields that.
And we do the same thing, right? Like, this is what you qualify for. I don't know, if you want to live in Plano at 280, that's a conversation for you and your real estate agent to have, and he'll get you set up on a search and he'll figure that part of it out. This is what you can buy. One thing to keep in mind that I always like to talk about is when we qualify for a purchase price amount, we're really qualifying for a monthly payment. So like, even if I tell you, so we have to equate it to a purchase price so you know where to shop at. But if I say they qualify at 280, it really means they qualify for like a $2,500 a month payment. And we got to make sure that that house falls within that $2,500. Now, if you go from Plano to Dallas, where the tax rate goes up 0.5%, that might change their qualification. So we talk about that in there, is this is your, just because we said 280 doesn't mean 280, it means 2,500. So whatever house you buy has to be $2,500 or less. And how do we get to that point? So that's something to keep in mind as a real estate agent too, and making sure that your pre-qualifications are proper and right. So.
Cool. Any more questions? On the board,
Nothing.
either? No?
Nothing there.
All right,
So,
appreciate it.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just gonna say a couple things. I think it's a good idea for everybody to try to follow motivational speakers. I follow David Goggins and
That guy's crazy, huh? I listened
yeah.
to both of his books, man.
yeah, I'm reading his book right now. I just was delivered yesterday.
Listen, have you ever listened to one of them?
Well, I listen to him.
Oh, his books are great because they stop in between, and him and the author talk
yeah.
about each chapter.
Oh, yeah. But David Goggins and so anyways, I was listening the other day and they were talking about timing the market. I can't tell you how many agents have joined us where like when I interviewed them first, I just gotta kind of make sure everything is good, right, perfect, right, time the market. And he in this one podcast, he was talking about how it's not so much timing the market, but your time in the market. And then I was watching another one about MJ, back when he was already retired from the NBA. They were doing something like, what were you doing at 12? Like playing basketball? And he was like, I was a baseball player.
Yep.
And, thinking about how, he is the greatest basketball player ever. And if you really watch anything about him, it's his attention to detail. So if you kind of time both those, like your time in the market and your attention to detail, like Jacqueline, she's written an offer. It was almost perfect. She's been licensed for a couple weeks. Maggie sent a couple offers in just practicing. That's all practicing for when it's a real game. And you would sit there and hear stories about Michael Jordan after winning a game or losing. He'd go back to the gym. All his buddies are out partying. He's shooting 4,000 basketball. We never made the basketball team in high school. And it's quite a story. So I always use those people as motivational when I send out my Monday Motivation Tuesday tips. I got them set up for the next month just on listening to something and putting it around my own head and my own life. But there's no reason why any agent in this firm should buy an offer up and use MLS Connect, because that's all we do is we train on MLS Connect and zip forms. And when I look at the people in here and the business they're doing, it generally comes down to people they know. And every once in a while, like I have Tabitha, I don't know if she's online, she's writing an offer right now. She just sent it to me. I was reviewing it. She's had 3 Op City leads and the close leases, $200, 400, but she got her 3. And now she went from emerging to an experienced agent. And so she gets better leads. And it sucks making $230 when you pay $2,000 to get licensed through Champions and pay your board dues. But as my dad used to say, it all adds up. when I would bitch about a commission check that was too low. And it really does come around to be truthful. And it gives you something that money doesn't buy. It's just that confidence level that she's gaining. And she's got a language barrier, and it hadn't stopped her. Kay, he's got a language barrier, hadn't stopped him selling 2 homes a month to his congregation because he went to really listening to Brooks is what did it. I mean, he's told me, I don't know if he ever shared
Oh,
that
yeah,
with you,
yeah.
but that's why I have people like this in, because you get a different perspective. And we do so much training on the Tuesday, Thursday, 30 minutes, the Wednesday night, that when this Friday is really for us to kind of hear something different. And man, I mean, I could use that. 4.9 million house, you know, there's how many people were, I mean, I knew that during the shortage, 2 years ago, that there was just not enough homes and too many buyers because rates were also low. But again, it also goes to what Brooke says sometimes about date the rate, marry the home. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can use to give the confidence to a buyer when they ask you, like, what do you think is going to happen in the future? You can say, well, I'm with a broker and a lender that combined have about 40 years experience. They've been through planes flying into buildings.
Yes.
Hanging chads, Supreme Court's making presidents, marches, riots, mass shootings, and people still moving it out Fort Worth because it's the best city where you can, everybody's moving to the suburbs. And they said that on the news the other day because there's so much crime in these big cities. And, you know, I don't care what your politics are. It's just a fact that people moving here from Chicago, from New York, from San Francisco, where people are shitting and pissing on the roads and the streets and yelling at somebody riding a bike that's a visitor that they're on the sidewalk. The homeless are just incredibly taking a city that used to be beautiful. I won't go there ever again. That's just a personal, I won't go to Seattle either because I'd like to live and I don't want to be attacked just walking down the road, and you see it on the news every day. So that's why people always come to Texas, number one, because whether you're conservative or liberal, the government is conservative with protecting police, protecting citizens, trying to keep taxes low, property tax bills, not a state income tax. And this North Dallas area, when I say that, I mean like from Waxahachie up to the Red River and, you know, our MLS, it's just everybody's moving here. And it's even up into Sherman and to Denison.
Yeah.
So I'll be available all weekend. I'll do my videos and send everything out tomorrow. Just a reminder, June 10th is our pool party on the June 1 newsletter. When it goes out, we'll have some type of e-bike, but we have it catered on the inside. If you've been, who went to last year's? You've been a couple, Don.
Yeah, the.
Hamburger man out front? Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead it'll be in the kitchen and it's a taco and fajita person that my wife knows that's doing